So hello everybody, this is an audio lecture for visually impaired students, and in this audio lecture I am going to read the chapter 11 Organometallic Compounds from the book Organic Chemistry by Paula Bruce. Now I am going to start the chapter. We saw that compound in group second alkyl halides, alcohol, ethers, epoxides and sulfonate esters contain a carbon that is bonded to more electronegative atom. The carbon therefore is electrophilic and reacts with nucleophile. But what if you wanted a carbon to react with an electrophile? For that, you need a compound with a nucleophilic carbon to be nucleophilic. Carbon has to be bonded to a less electronegative atom. Because metals are less electronegative than carbon, one way to create nucleophilic carbon is to bond the carbon to a metal. A compound that contains carbon-metal bond is called organometallic compound. The electrostatic potential map shows that the carbon attached to the more electronegative chlorine in an alkyl chloride is an electrophile. It is blue-green, whereas the carbon attached to less electronegative metal lithium in the organometallic compound is a nucleophile. It is red. So as you can clearly see the electrostatic potential map of alkyl halide, in which we know that chlorine is more electronegative than carbon atom. So the electron density likely more shifted to the chlorine atom, and here we can clearly see that carbon is an electrophile because chlorine is more electronegative, so it attracts the electron pair towards itself. So the more electron density is concentrated on chlorine atom, and we can clearly see that carbon is electrophile, which is blue-green in color. Similarly, if we see the electrostatic potential map of organometallic compound, that is methyl lithium, in which we know that lithium is a metal, so its electronegativity is less than the carbon. Now in this case, carbon is a nucleophile because lithium is less electronegative than carbon, and we can clearly see that carbon is red in color in this electrostatic potential map. A wide variety of metals can be attached to a carbon to form organometallic compounds. The name of an organometallic compound usually begins with the name of the alkyl group followed by the name of the metal. There are some examples like butyl lithium, ethyl magnesium bromide, dipropyl cadmium, tetraethyl lead. So these are some examples in which we can clearly see that the organometallic compound usually begins with the name of the alkyl group. Now I am going to read about the organolithium and organomagnesium compound. Two of the most common organometallic compounds are organolithium compounds and organomagnesium compounds. Preparing organolithium and organomagnesium compounds. Organolithium compounds are prepared by heating lithium metal to an alkyl halide in a non-polar solvent such as hexane, where the organomagnesium compounds, commonly called as Grignard reagents after their discoverer Victor Grignard, are prepared by adding an alkyl halide to magnesium metal. Shavings begin stirred in an ether, usually diethyl ether or tetrahydrofuran, under anhydrous condition. The reaction inserts magnesium between the carbon and the halogen. The solvent plays a crucial role in the formation of Grignard reagent. The magnesium atom is surrounded by only 4 electrons, so it needs 4 more to form an octet. Solvent molecules provide these electrons. Sharing electron with a metal is called coordination. Coordination of the solvent molecule with the magnesium atom allows the Grignard reagent to dissolve in the solvent, preventing it from coating the magnesium shavings, which would make them unreactive. So in this picture we can clearly see that magnesium is coordinated with the solvent, that is diethyl ether. Alkyl halides, vinylic halides and aryl halides can all be used to form organolithium and organomagnesium compounds. Alkyl bromides are used most often because they react more readily than alkyl chlorides and less expensive than alkyl iodides. Organolithium and organomagnesium compounds are nucleophile because carbon is more electronegative than the metal to which it is bonded. Organolithium and organomagnesium compound react as if they were carbanions. Thus they are nucleophiles and bases. Organomagnesium and organolithium compounds are very strong bases. Therefore, they react immediately with any acid present in the reaction mixture. Even with very weak acids such as water and alcohols. When this happens, organometallic compound is converted into alkane. Although this is not how one would normally synthesize an alkane, it is useful way to prepare denaturated hydrocarbons. Just use D2O instead of H2O. This means that Grignard reagents and organolithium compounds cannot be prepared from the compounds that contain acidic groups such as OH, NH2, NHR, SH, even terminal alkynes or COOH, because even trace amount of moisture can convert an organometallic compound into an alkane. It is important that all reagents are dry when organometallic compounds are synthesized and when they react with other reagents. Now I am going to read about the transmetallation. The reactivity of an organometallic compound depends on the polarity of carbon-metal bond. The greater the polarity of the bond, the more reactive the compound is a nucleophile. The polarity of the bond depends on the difference in electronegativity between the metal and the carbon. For example, magnesium has an electronegativity of 1.2 compared with 2.5 of carbon. This is large difference in electronegativity makes the carbon magnesium bond highly polar. Lithium, that is 1.0, is even less electronegative than magnesium. Thus the carbon lithium bond is more polar than the carbon magnesium bond. So an organolithium reagent is a more reactive nucleophile than a Grignard reagent. An organometallic compound will undergo transmetallation, that is metal exchange, if it is added to a metal halide whose metal is more electronegative than the metal in the organometallic compound. In other words, transmetallation occurs if the alkyl group can be transferred to a metal with an electronegativity closer to that of carbon, thereby forming a less polar carbon-metal bond and therefore a less reactive nucleophile. For example, cadmium is more electronegative, that is 1.5, than a magnesium, that is 1.2. Consequently, a carbon-cadmium bond is less polar than the carbon-magnesium bond, so metal exchange occurs. So here this is a reaction given over here in which we see that ethyl magnesium chloride is reacted with cadmium chloride and we get diethyl cadmium, because we know that cadmium is more electronegative than magnesium. So consequently, carbon-cadmium bond is less polar than a carbon-magnesium bond, so metal exchange occur over here. Organocuprates. New carbon-carbon bonds can be made using an organometallic reagent that has a transition metal as its metal atom. Transition metals are indicated by purple in the periodic table at the back of this book. The reactions are called coupling reactions because two CH containing groups are joined coupled together. The first organometallic compound used in coupling reaction were copper containing organocuprates R2CuLi, also called Gilman's reagent. After their discoverer Henry Gilman, organocuprates are less reactive than organolithium or Grignard reagents because a carbon-copper bond is less polar than a carbon-lithium or carbon-magnesium bond. That is, Cu is closer in electronegativity to carbon than is lithium or magnesium. One of the two alkyl group in an organocuprate is used as a nucleophile in the reactions. Forming organocuprates. An organocuprate is prepared by the reaction of an organolithium compound with cuprous iodide in diethyl ether or in THF, that is tetrahydrofuran. Notice that because Cu is more electronegative, that is 1.8, than lithium, that is 1.0, transmetallation occur. So this is the reaction given over here in which organolithium compound is taken over here, that is methyl lithium. It is reacted with cuprous iodide in the presence of tetrahydrofuran and we get a organocuprate, that is a Gilman's reagent is obtained over here. Now I am going to read about an organocuprate replaces chlorine, Br or iodine with an alkyl group. The organocuprate reacts by coupling one of its alkyl group to an alkyl group of an alkyl halide, with the exception of alkyl fluorides which do not undergo this reaction, and displacing the halogen. This means that an alkane can be formed from two alkyl halides. One alkyl halide is used to form organocuprate, which then reacts with second alkyl halide in coupling reaction. The precise mechanism of the substitution reaction is unknown but is thought to involve radicals. The R groups of the organocuprate and the alkyl halide can be primary alkyl, methyl, aryl, vinylic or allylic. In other words, any R group except secondary or tertiary alkyl. Because organocuprates can react with vinylic halide and aryl halides, they can be used to prepare compounds that cannot be prepared by SN2 reactions with Grignard reagent or organolithium compounds. Remember that vinylic and aryl halide cannot undergo nucleophilic attack. The substitution reaction is stereospecific. In other words, the configuration of double bond is retained in the product. That is, the group bonded to the sp2 carbon maintain their position. Organocuprates can even replace halogen in compounds that contain other functional groups, such as compounds with bromo or chloro substituent attached to a carbon adjacent to a carbonyl group. An organocuprate is a nucleophile. Because they are nucleophiles, organocuprates react with electrophile. For example, in following reaction, which is given over here, the organocuprate react with an epoxide in nucleophilic substitution reaction. Notice that when an organocuprate react with ethylene oxide, that means an epoxide, a primary alcohol is formed that contains two more carbon than the organometallic compound. Now I am going to read about the palladium catalyzed coupling reactions. Many new methods that use transition metal to carry out coupling reactions have been developed in recent years. These methods have greatly expanded the synthetic chemist's arsenal of reactions that from new carbon-carbon bonds. We will look at two reactions that use a palladium catalyst, L2PD, the Suzuki reaction and the Heck reaction. The two reactions have several features in common. Both reactions form a new carbon-carbon bond by replacing a halogen of vinylic halide or a aryl halide. Bromides and iodide work best with this reaction with a carbon containing R. Thus, they are substitution reactions. The palladium atom of catalyst is coordinated with ligand L2PD. Several different ligands L can be used. A common ligand is triphenylphosphine. Both reactions occur via a catalytic cycle in which the palladium atom participates in breaking bond in the reactant and forming the new carbon-carbon bond in the product. The first step of each cycle is insertion of palladium between the carbon and halogen to form organopalladium compound. If the organopalladium compound has beta hydrogen on an sp3 carbon, the organopalladium compound will rapidly undergo an elimination reaction before the coupling reaction has a chance to occur. This explains why vinylic and aryl halides are the reactant in these reactions. They cannot undergo elimination reaction under the condition used to carry out of the coupling reactions. The reactions can be carried out if the reactant have other functional groups. The reactions are stereospecific. The configuration of the double bond in a vinylic halide is retained in the product. The reactions are very effective, often requiring less than 0.1% of the palladium catalyst compared to the reactants and giving high yields of products, that is around 80 to 98%. The Suzuki reaction. So, the Suzuki reaction couples a R group of a vinylic or aryl halide with the R dash group of an organoboron compound in a basic solution in the presence of palladium catalyst, that is PdL2, where L stands for ligand. And in previous section we already read that most common ligand is triphenyl phosphine. The general reaction is shown below, in which we see that a vinyl halide or an aryl halide is reacted with an organoboron compound in the presence of palladium catalyst, and in final product we clearly see that a new carbon-carbon bond is formed over here. Examples of Suzuki reactions: if the R dash group of an organoboron compound can be either an alkyl group or an alkenyl group or an aryl group, notice that the carbon that were bonded to the halogen and to the boron are joined by a new carbon-carbon bond. If the catalysts are modified, halides other than vinylic or aryl can be used, but this is beyond the scope of this book. When the reactant is a vinylic halide, the configuration of its double bond is retained in the product. When alkenyl organoboron compound is used, the new double bond in the product is always trans, because an alkenyl organoboron compound always has a trans configuration. Mechanism of the Suzuki reaction. The mechanism of Suzuki reaction is under active investigation. It has been found that to depend on the ligand L and the base. The mechanism for the reaction: when the ligand is triphenyl phosphine PC6H5 whole thrice and the base is hydroxide ion, shown on the next page. So this is the mechanism for the Suzuki reaction. We can clearly see the mechanism of this Suzuki reaction. The catalyst L2PD is very reactive, so it must be generated in situ in the reaction mixture by two successive dissociations of a ligand from one more stable pre-catalyst L4PD. Palladium is inserted between the carbon and the halogen. Hydroxide ion displaces the halide ion. The R dash group is transferred from boron to palladium as hydroxide ion is transferred from palladium to boron. The last step is effectively the reverse of the first step. Palladium is eliminated and the new CC bond, that is carbon-carbon bond, is formed. The catalyst can now react with another molecule of the alkyl halide. The insertion of a metal between two atoms is called oxidative addition. Two new groups are added to a metal. It is an oxidation because the oxidation state of palladium is 0 in L2PD and +2 in L2PDXR. Recall that oxidation is loss of electron, reduction is gain of electron. Reductive elimination eliminates two groups from the metal. Thus, the first step in a Suzuki reaction is an oxidative addition and the last step is the reductive elimination. So this is the mechanism of the Suzuki coupling, or we can say the Suzuki reaction. Now I am going to talk about the preparation, or we can say preparing the organoboron compound for a Suzuki reaction. The alkyl or alkenyl organoboron compound used in a Suzuki reaction is prepared by the hydroboration of a terminal alkene or a terminal alkyne respectively. Often the boron containing compound is catechol boron. So in this reaction we can clearly see that we have an alkenyl organoboron compound, catechol boron, and during the reaction we got an alkyl organoboron compound. Recall that boron adds to the triply bonded carbon that is bonded to the hydrogen, and that boron and the hydrogen add to the same side of the triple bond. Therefore, the boron in an alkenyl organoboron compound is always trans to the substituent on the adjacent sp2 carbon, and aryl organoboron compound is prepared from the organolithium compound and trimethyl borate. So in this reaction we have an organolithium compound and we reacted with the trimethyl borate, so we got an aryl organoboron compound. The Hack reaction. The Hack reaction couples a vinylic or an aryl halide with an alkene in the presence of base such as triethylamine and a palladium catalyst L2PD, where L stands for ligand. Like the Suzuki reaction, the Hack reaction is a substitution reaction. The R group of the halide replaces a vinylic halide hydrogen of an alkene. If there is a substituent attached to the alkene Z, the R group will be trans to the substituent in the product. Notice in the reaction shown below that the new carbon-carbon bond joins two sp2 carbons. So this is the reaction given over here. Now I am going to read the mechanism of Hack reaction. This is the example of Hack reaction. So this is the mechanism for the Hack reaction. The catalyst L2PD is generated as a result of two successive dissociations of a ligand from the pre-catalyst L4PD. Next is an oxidative addition. Palladium is inserted between the carbon and the hydrogen. The next step is a ligand substitution. The alkene takes the place of the one ligand L. Because the carbon is more electronegative than palladium, R is a nucleophile. It adds to the sp2 carbon of the alkene and the electron of the pi bond add to the palladium. This is a concerted syn addition. Rotation about the carbon-carbon bond as indicated by the green arrows provides the conformer required for the next step. Next, a hydride ion is transferred to a palladium and the electrons of palladium and carbon bond forms the pi bond. Notice that this intramolecular reaction is a concerted syn elimination with a hydride ion being eliminated from a beta carbon. The concerted elimination reaction we have seen previously are anti-eliminations, where a proton, not a hydride ion, is eliminated from a beta carbon. Another ligand substitution occurs. A ligand L takes the place of alkene. Reductive elimination regenerates the catalyst and forms HBr. Triethylamine reacts with HBr to prevent it from adding to the alkene. The catalyst can now react with another molecule of alkyl halide, the preferred alkene for a Hack reaction. The nucleophilic R group can be added to either sp2 carbon of the alkene. Therefore, the reaction leads to a high yield of a single product only in following situation. If the alkene is symmetrical, if one of the sp2 carbon is sterically hindered to the addition of nucleophile, therefore internal alkene are much less reactive than less sterically hindered terminal alkenes. So internal alkenes are generally not employed in Hack reactions. If one of the sp2 carbon is bonded to a group that can withdraw electrons by resonance such as CO or CN, causing the other sp2 carbon to have a partial positive charge, that makes it more susceptible to nucleophilic addition. Now I am going to read about the alkene metathesis. Alkene metathesis is also called olefin metathesis, is a reaction that breaks the strongest bond in an alkene, that is double bond, and then rejoins the fragments. Metathesis is a Greek word that means transposition. When the fragments are joined, each new double bond is formed between two sp2 carbon that were not previously bonded. There are two ways of fragments can be joined. If they are joined as shown above, then two new alkene products are obtained. If they are joined as shown below, then the starting material is reformed. All is not lost, however, because the reformed starting material can undergo another round of metathesis. Note that both reactions form a double bond between two sp2 carbon that were not previously bonded. Terminal alkenes give the best yield of single alkene product because one of new alkene product is ethene. Ethene is a gas, so it is removed from the reaction mixture as it formed. This shifts the equilibrium that exists between two pathways for joining the fragments towards the pathways that forms ethene and the other new alkene. A catalyst used for alkene metathesis. Alkene metathesis requires a transition metal catalyst if the catalyst does not affect other functional groups that are in starting alkene, then a large variety of alkene can be used for metathesis. Grubbs catalysts that contain ruthenium have been found to be the ones most tolerant of other functional group. The ligand L in Grubbs catalyst shown here are not identified because there are several generations of Grubbs catalyst, each with different ligands. Examples of alkene metathesis. If E and Z isomers are possible for the product of metathesis, both will be formed. Metathesis can also be done using two different alkenes as a starting material. If the reactant is diene, ring closure metathesis can occur. Mechanism for alkene metathesis. Metathesis occur in two phases. The first phase creates two intermediate, first and second. Each intermediate has metal atom of catalyst in place of group that was attached by a double bond in a starting alkene. The two-step mechanism for this first phase is shown here. So mechanism for alkene metathesis for phase 1 is shown over here. The Grubbs catalyst and the starting alkene undergo 2+2 cycloaddition reaction. This reaction forms two different metallocyclobutane intermediate because the metal can bond to either sp2 carbon of the alkene. Each of the metallocyclobutane intermediate undergo a ring opening reaction. Two metal containing intermediate formed 1 and 2nd. In the second phase of metathesis, each of the metal containing intermediate formed in the first phase react with the starting alkene to form a new alkene and the other metal containing intermediate. Notice that the mechanism for each of the two phases is the same. Mechanism for alkene metathesis phase 2. Each metal containing intermediate undergo 2+2 cycloaddition reaction to form a metallocyclobutane that undergoes a ring opening reaction to form the other metal containing intermediate and a new alkene. Thus, metal containing intermediate first reacts to form a metal containing intermediate second, and metal containing intermediate second reacts to form a metal containing intermediate first. Because the metal atom of metal containing intermediate can bond to either sp2 carbon of the alkene in the first step of the second phase, two different metallocyclobutanes can form. Only if the metal is in intermediate first bonds to the less substituted sp2 carbon of the alkene is a new alkene formed. If the metal is in intermediate first bonds to the more substituted sp2 carbon, then the starting material of alkene, or we can say starting alkene, is reformed. Similarly, a new alkene is formed only if a metal in intermediate second bonds to the more substituted sp2 carbon. If the metal in intermediate second bonds to the less substituted sp2 carbon, then the starting alkene is reformed. Each of the metal containing intermediates formed in the second phase can now react with another molecule of the alkene starting material. Now I am going to read the last section of this chapter, that is alkyne metathesis. So it is very short. Alkynes can also undergo metathesis. The preferred catalyst for alkyne metathesis are Shakrock catalysts that contain molybdenum or tungsten as the transition metal.